You guys all read the script, right?
Lana, Ramon vouches for them. I vouch for him.
These three were my best friends.
Fuck those guys.
Everybody love everybody!
Hello there, everybody. Welcome to Vouch for Me. I am your host, Abel, joined by PapaNasty.
Hey.
And Eric.
Hey, everybody.
Today on the pod, we have chosen to go with Godzilla -1, which came out about a couple months ago now. Was it like... It was like December, actually.
I think you're absolutely right. 2023, you're right.
Man, I waited half a year for this shit to finally hit streaming. God damn.
That's insane.
Still waiting on the Blu-ray release, Toho. Where's it at? Where's my Blu-ray, Toho? But anyways, this was Eric's pick, which he actually picked months ago, but it was not legally available to stream, so we've been putting it off for a while. Eric, tell me, why have you picked it, this fine movie?
Dude, we literally... It was hilarious because the movie came out December, and I saw it. Abel, you saw it in the theaters.
I saw it like pretty soon after it came out.
I'm pretty sure you and I saw it right around the same time. The moment you saw it first, I texted you as soon as I saw it. We were both like, God, this movie's goated.
I dragged Lily to go see it.
I bet you she fell in love with it. It was so damn good.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
But it's been, since it came out, it has literally taken them 6 months to put it on any sort of platform. I was like, at least we could buy it online. I was willing to go out and purchase it so we could do it sooner.
Toho laughs.
No, yeah, it was a very big deal. Are you familiar with how they do things, Abel? Isn't it something like...
So basically they want like their Godzilla releases to not overlap at all because they don't want their box offices or purchase sales inhibited in any way. So they delayed the release of -1 overseas because Godzilla X Kong was still in theaters.
Okay, that's exactly what I was wondering about it. But yeah, absolutely. I cried through plenty of the movie. Me and Kayla watched it together. She's a diehard Godzilla fan, so she actually filled me in on a lot of the lore while we were watching it. I still think I chose it on your recommendation, Abel.
Yeah, this movie is pretty much like the closest we'll get to like a modern day retelling of the original movie. Because like beat for beat, it's like very similar in tone and like Godzilla's characterization as just like a walking monster of mass destruction.
Yeah, there's so much we can dig into, and like in terms of like what the director talked about, and I feel like this is a modern retelling of that original movie. But PapaNasty, he's the one. He saw it within the last week. Ooh, yes. I think you just finished it. Did you just finish it today?
He's the one whose cherry got popped. We have to hear what he has to say.
Ooh.
Oh. Well, I don't kiss and tell usually, but I'll tell you guys.
But I love to tell.
All the PapaNasty details.
Yeah, all the nasty details. No, I finished it last night around like 12 o'clock. Alma fell asleep after us cuddling, so I was like, you know what, I need to finish it. I watched about halfway through originally, and then I finished it up last night. And yeah, the ending was great. The film was interesting. Well, I can't wait to deep dive into it. But no, I was really, I think it was, I would say arguably one of the better Godzilla films that I've seen. I think it was actually the best one, I'd argue.
I think it's safe to say it probably is the best one.
I want to hear what other ones have you seen?
Well, of course, the original Godzilla.
Oh, no shit. I haven't even watched the original.
The 1954 one?
Which was garbage. My grandma had it. But it was funny. It was cool to watch.
Oh, it was probably the American version. It's the inferior one.
Yeah, she got it from like Value Village back in the day or something.
Nah, dude, it was the swap meet, bro.
Yeah, we'd watch that in like Bloodsport.
No, because like the Japanese version is like legit a different movie. The American version of the original Godzilla like shoehorned in an American character.
And then I watched like the 2014, 2016 Godzilla one with that. We introduced like the Kong series and all that shit. But no, I think I like this one.
Hold up, we gotta take a step back because I'm fascinated.
Here we go.
When you saw this movie at your grandma's house, were you a kid?
No, this was like last year. No, of course I was a kid.
Well, yeah, but how little were you? How you were like 8, 9, 10?
Elementary school.
And you were like, fuck this movie. This is trash.
No, it was cheesy. It was cheesy. It was cool. It was like clearly a costume or terrible. I can't remember exactly. But I just remember watching like, this is terrible, but it's entertaining. I'd rather watch this than like Cinderella or some bullshit.
Dude, Cinderella went off, but we'll do that another day.
But yeah, we'd watch this. It would go like Godzilla, and then it would go like Bloodsport, and then it would go like 101 Dalmatians or some bullshit. But yeah, no, I remember we had this there, and I'm like, fuck it, let's put it on.
Did you guys ever see the 2001 American, 1998 Godzilla movie where it's in New York
Matthew
starring
Broderick.
Matthew motherfucking Broderick? That was the first time I ever got introduced to Godzilla. I remember my dad picked us up and he took us to his apartment and he put on a movie he rented, and it was 1998 Godzilla. He fell asleep while watching it while we were sitting there watching it. And I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, apparently like it's the popular thing to hate on that movie, but like I don't give a fuck. Like I love that movie. It's bad, but it has a place in my heart for the nostalgia. Also, Jean Reno is just awesome.
Is that genre?
Jean Reno is the French guy.
Cool. Okay. I didn't know anybody back then.
What is a little bit of the Godzilla lore for the fans, for the vouchers? Can you give us a little, anyone?
Oh, yeah. Well, what's great is this movie will be an opportunity to re-break down the beginning telling of Godzilla.
No, who originally came up with Godzilla? Like, was it a French director?
No, Japanese.
Japanese
It's
director. Okay.
Japanese. Yeah, Godzilla is like it's like a combination of like two Japanese words, Gojira.
And basically it means like something along the lines of like God Lizard or something like that.
I used to know what it meant.
A shout out to Ulysses. He's a good friend of ours. He has always been obsessed with Godzilla, which is absolutely just like one of the greatest things ever. This can't be real. Yeah, guys, this can't be real. I just looked up the Godzilla 1954 film, and you will not believe this. Budget was 63 million, but the box office was 63 million yen, which I think is different.
Oh yeah, that's like nothing.
Oh, okay, because the box office was 2.25 million. So I'm like so curious what the difference would be there.
Damn, 1954.
It was distributed by Toho, and then the original director was Honda, and he also helped with the screenplay, but the story was by Kayama. I think the most important distinction in plenty of the arcs for Godzilla is that they are taken on by different people, and so there's different eras of Godzilla, which is something that Ulysses would always bring up to us.
So I got it right here. Gojira is a combination of the Japanese words for gorilla and whale, gorilla and kujira.
Godzilla whale.
Gorilla
whale. Oh my god, when you put that together, yeah. Did you just describe Godzilla in a single fucking kanji, dude? That's insane. Oh yeah, but that's absolutely insane. Godzilla, fascinating. There is so much lore to Godzilla itself. We'll deep dive in this movie, and then we'll sprinkle in some trivia along the way. But of course, at some point, we will have an opportunity to dig into, probably try to like do an episode on the series at a glance, because there's just so much to go into. There's so many eras. There's so many different depictions of Godzilla. But what's great is this gets to be a brand new retelling of the character. This is almost taking a flashback to 1954, bringing it to a new audience of people. So let's dig into like some production stuff really quick. Nothing insane, but I think it is important to point out. Can you believe this movie was made for $12 million?
Yeah. It's actually kind of hard to believe, because I've seen American movies with bigger budgets with shittier CGI, but maybe that's because Marvel is just like making people shoehorn movies out every 2 months instead of, actually CGI-ing the goddamn movie.
Yep.
And also Japanese workers are severely overworked in general.
That is the meme I saw too, was everyone praising this movie for being made for $12 million, but not acknowledging the work environment that they had to deal with. But it did, from a $12 million budget, it did make $115 million worldwide.
Wait, what the fuck?
I was gonna say, is that in yen?
Yeah. So it absolutely made insane money. The director of this film, who is Takashi Yamazaki. Also, we're totally going to be butchering these names. We're going to do our absolute best, but we are trash at all of these things. Our best chance is Abel has seen a bunch of JoJo Bizarre Adventure.
Oh my god.
And so he may be able to offer us like some of the best pronunciations.
Yeah. Can I pipe in something just real quick?
Oh, please.
Since we were talking about the budget of the original Godzilla movie, there's a little annotation asterisk right next to the 63 million yen. It says equals to about $900,000 in 1954. So they absolutely made their money back. And some.
They made it for under $1 million.
Yeah. And the box office was two and a quarter million.
No, not counting the legacy that they built afterwards.
Yeah. So a good investment.
So this movie was, they greenlit the movie, and then what it's actually written by Takashi Yamazaki as well. It was around COVID when he started like investing a lot of time into it. So he was inspired by a previous Godzilla film. I think it was like a Godzilla and Mothra. I'd have to look into the exact film. But not only was he inspired by that film, but he was also inspired by COVID itself. He literally, I guess there was during the pandemic, Japan, the government, the way it proceeded with COVID. That was some of his inspiration. And so that's why they had Godzilla evolve in the film, like a few other things. It's so fucking cool.
Sounds like you're describing Shin Godzilla a little bit.
I know. That's what I'm saying too. When I saw I'm like, he has to admit that he got some of the inspiration from Shin Godzilla. There's no way he didn't. All right. So let's go ahead and start breaking down the story for Godzilla -1. And then we'll throw in some trivia along the way because there's just all kinds of fascinating things. So we start off with being introduced to our protagonist. His name is Abel, if you help me out here.
Yeah, Koichi Shikishima.
Koichi Shikishima. I believe Koichi comes from a previous Godzilla movie, and then Shikishima actually comes from the most successful kamikaze crew that was ever utilized in Japan. It consisted of, I believe, like 5 or 6 individuals. And the person who was in charge was 23 years old. And he was leading 19 and 20-year-olds to their imminent doom.
Damn.
I know. And he looks very young when he lands on this island. But you get introduced to our main character, Koichi. And he is a kamikaze pilot. And he's flying to an island because he has something wrong with his plane. He lands, he tells the mechanics, hey, there's something going on with my plane. And they go to look it over, and they're positive. They're absolutely positive that he completely made this up. The lead mechanic actually comes up and talks to him about it.
Tachibana,
who becomes a prevalent name later. And you can already see the dishonor. You could already see his disappointment where he's like, you said that you're having issues, but we're looking it over and there's nothing wrong with any of the systems.
at least this early on, he's nice about it. Because he gets it. He gets it. He's like, you're scared. I get it. But we all have a duty to serve, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. But you're talking to this young kid who's in a fighter pilot that's supposed to go and, sacrifice himself.
Just crash his plane into a boat and just...
Yeah. Luckily, later in the film, there's people that understand him a little bit better. But the main thing here is, the island he lands on? I believe it's Odo Island.
Yeah, Oda Island.
In the 1954 film, That was the original sighting of Godzilla.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know. They literally brought it all the way back. So you got Godzilla shows up while he stays the night. He has a great rest of his day. He goes and
tries to just sleep off the fear. Maybe just get back to work in the morning.
And then Godzilla shows up in the dead of night. They all wake up. They all stir. They have a fucking dinosaur on their island for no reason.
Yeah, they kind of just explain that it's a legend among the locals and that that's all the origin story we get for Godzilla. It just lives there, apparently.
Yeah, that is pre-mutation. That is like he's not even fucking hyped up on atomic anything, and none of the atom bombs or anything.
He's not confirmed to be at this point in time, but a lot of fans kind of associate this early version of Godzilla to be akin to Godzillasaurus, which is pre-mutation Godzilla in some of the other continuities.
It actually was pretty cool to see that like immediate monster. Like he comes out, he's fucking tearing
I was not
everybody up.
expecting it that early in the movie.
I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, ooh, immediately draws in the attention. Okay, hell yeah. He was really small too. I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought he was way bigger than this. And then seeing later on, we see he gets bigger. But at first, I'm like, that's the fucking smallest Godzilla I've ever seen in my life.
It's like that meme of fucking The Lion King where Timon and Pumbaa find Simba as a cub, and he's like, but he's so little, he's gonna get bigger.
Yeah, he's gonna get big. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what happened there. Like Godzilla's so little here, and like he's gonna get bigger.
Yeah, he's only fuck. What did they say? 50 feet tall.
He looked like he was probably about 30 feet tall at that point.
Yeah, but I think as per the information, he's 50 feet tall at that point.
Well, he was as tall or just a bit taller than that lookout tower, so hard to say. And also because he was a pre-mutation dinosaur, he didn't walk like fully upright. He was walking
more
horizontal.
like a dinosaur. Yeah.
His hands, how they just were, and the walking with the fat old legs. I don't know. I just love they kept original Godzilla. I was like, yes, that's awesome. And the cheesiness of like it still looked newer, but had that old school Godzilla look to it with the eyes.
I like the way they designed the creature. Both this one and Shin Godzilla were like, even though it's like clearly CGI, the way the body's shaped and move, you could still imagine a guy in a suit walking around like that.
For this one, the more dinosaur-esque one, I felt like it definitely seemed more like an animal. But then when it truly mutates, I feel like it looks like a fucking guy in a suit.
He doesn't. Throughout the film, he does not eat anyone. He bites him.
It's a rule.
He throws him away.
It's a rule that Godzilla does not eat people.
But he never eats a single person.
He's not supposed to.
No, but it's saying for being a monster, like you think I thought he was gonna eat one of them.
He feeds on radiation.
Yeah, I thought for some reason he ate it, and yeah, no, he didn't.
The original film, the original people that produced the film studio, they made it a rule.
Godzilla does not eat people.
He's a vegetarian?
No, he just doesn't eat people. He'll eat anything else. He eats radiation, but like he could be seen like eating anything else but people.
Oh, he's gluten free.
Yeah, miss me with that.
He's a non-humanitarian.
Yeah, so basically Koichi wakes up in the dead of night. Godzilla's rampaging already. Everyone's freaked the fuck out. All of the mechanics are hiding in this area.
They're hiding in a trench. They're hiding in the trench.
And then Tachibana is telling him, hey, you are the experienced one. Go out and shoot him in the face. Your plane is right over there.
Yeah, run to the plane. I forgot what caliber the fucking plane's machine gun is, but they were like arguing over like, I don't think that's gonna do anything to it. And like, here's where a little bit of Japanese hubris comes from. They're all like, nah, man, that gun can take out anything. Like, yeah, bet.
Yeah.
He runs to it. We're talking about the guy who just ducked out of being a kamikaze pilot because he's realizing the worth of his own.
He's scared to die.
He's scared to die. It's more he's scared to die than it is.
You don't have to like put special words on it. He's just straight up scared to die. That's all it is.
He acts on instinct. He runs there.
And then he freezes up.
He mans it and he freezes up and he doesn't do it. And so then what happens?
Someone else starts shooting.
Somebody impulsively shoots. So Godzilla goes to start attacking them. And then Koichi just watches in terror as the mechanics are one by one getting murked.
I remember reading this thing like it was like a fan argument discussion thing where like, did Godzilla see him in the cockpit? According to like either the script or the Japanese novelization, Godzilla saw him in the plane and did not attack him because he was not attacking Godzilla.
Damn.
Oh, like Predator.
Because for a second he is looking in the direction of the plane and like it's debatable as to whether or not he actually saw him. But
wow.
Yeah, Godzilla saw him and Godzilla does not attack unless attacked at this point.
Twofold what's fascinating is we get to see the evolution of Godzilla's mind, his temperament. There's plenty of things. This is like pre-agony Godzilla. So virtually what happens on Oda Island is the mechanics are absolutely butchered. There's nothing left behind. And Koichi?
Yeah.
Koichi gets knocked out. He wakes up. He sees all the dead carcasses, and there's only one man alive. Tachibana's alive. He woke up before him and actually went out and started
collecting the bodies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
And he's so pissed off at him. Blames everything on him.
Mm-hmm. He goes up to him and he just starts drilling into him like, this is all your fault. Like,
if you weren't such a fucking coward, none of these people would be dead.
It makes me wonder if he could have killed Godzilla right then and there.
No.
This is pre-healing factor Godzilla.
No, we don't know if he didn't have his healing factor beforehand.
And we also don't know how tough his scales would have been.
Yeah. Yeah, either he would have been the bad guy for the first one shooting him, and he would have been at fault either way. He would have been dead, or it was kind of stupid.
We would have hated him as an audience, because then it's like, wow, this movie's only 10 minutes long and it's about him killing Godzilla and then we leave.
And he died. What the fuck?
You guys just charged me $20 for the ticket? This is insane. Bro, no one told me this could be 10 minutes long.
There's also that little bit of foreshadowing the day before when Koichi's sitting by the water and all those deep sea fish start popping up at the surface, and that's usually foreshadowing that Godzilla's showing up.
Oh, that's crazy because I always associated that with the radiation that he was emitting.
So supposedly they said that when Godzilla's surfacing, because he's so big, he's dragging like deep sea fish with him.
Cool. That makes sense in a weird way.
Yeah, it's a foreshadowing thing that like pops up every so often in the movie when Godzilla's about to show up. Deep sea fish start showing up.
Koichi leaves the island. It's pretty much
The war's over.
the war is officially over. They're all getting transferred over on a boat. And then the last thing Tachibana does before he says, fuck you, is he goes up to Koichi. He hands him an envelope that we don't know what it is technically. And that's it. And then now he gets to return to his home. So now he returns to his home and everything's going to be A-okay, right? His parents are alive. His village is intact. His town, my apologies. He doesn't live in a fucking village because this is the 1950s and they have an entire ass city completely destroyed by air raids.
1940s, but yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much 1950s.
Late 1940s, early 1950s.
1945. It
starts in the 1940s, and then we get time skips to like later.
Yeah, 46, 7.
We have, no, I appreciate that. So 1940s, he returns to his home. Everything's supposed to be peachy, but his entire town is destroyed by air raids because it turns out that this movie is completely historically accurate, short of the fact they introduced a giant lizard in it. And the air raids were actually the most devastating thing that happened to Japan, even outside of the 2 nuclear bombs that we dropped.
Yeah, that's like a common argument where people like criticizing the use of the nuclear weapons in Japan is that the air raids and the fire bombings killed more people than the 2 nuclear bombs combined.
Yeah.
Yeah, the napalm, baby.
Yeah.
Not even napalm, it was just fire.
The Japanese military was not stopping, and they were even after the Germans surrendered, if I recall correctly, they were still going at it. And then the atrocities that the Japanese government had committed with like the sack of China and stuff like that was pretty wild, and they committed some heinous war crimes. But yeah.
It's not even war crimes too. Sometimes just crimes against humanity.
Oh yeah,
I feel like one of the most important distinctions, because we're going to carry on talking about this film, is these are actions perpetrated by the Japanese government, whereas we're watching a story about Japanese civilians and people that don't necessarily agree with the government having to go through and deal with these issues. I feel like that was the premise of the movie.
It's about how the soldiers, at least some of them, were treated kind of like needlessly. Like you're told to go die for the cause of the empire, and then if you come back, you are a failure. We lost the war because you didn't go die, blah blah blah.
And you see that right away too, because as soon as Koichi shows back up home, everything's destroyed. He goes to
the very first person he runs into criticizes him for coming back.
He runs into his neighbor who knows he was a kamikaze pilot, and she's like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to stop all of this, and you're standing here before me. You're a worthless piece of shit. Oh, basically. And not only that, but he got a letter from his parents saying, hey, I hope you survived the war. He shows back up home, his parents are dead, and everyone's mad he survived the war. Absolutely insane to me. That's so fucked up. He had to rebuild his home, so he's living out of a shack. He's like going into now what is like the town square, which is just what they built together. And suddenly like there's a big ruckus going on. And this woman runs up to him and hands him a baby so she can get away from like the guards or something like that.
She stole from vendors. She stole food because she needs to survive.
Yeah, because everyone needed to survive at this point. And this is our first introduction to
Noriko.
Yeah, Noriko. Yeah, so it says Shikishima's girlfriend, but we'll find out later why that's fucked up that it says that.
I mean, yeah, right.
They were just in a situation ship.
We'll dig into their situation ship. I want to hear PapaNasty's opinions on it later down the road.
Yeah,
he's stuck with this baby. He finally leaves. As he's leaving, she pops up out of nowhere. And she's like, oh, I thought you would leave sooner. Why didn't you leave the baby behind? And he's because he has merit. He has value. He's like, I would never do that. This is a baby. It was a
little test of character for her. She was like, oh, I was going to see if I could trust you with my kid.
And then when she finds out she can trust him, she follows him home, falls asleep in his house, and then they just
moves right on in.
to start building a life together. He is wary like the first day, but he immediately takes responsibility for that child and that woman. And we start to realize that this man he has good values. He has good character. And then despite everything he's running from, because he's still like fighting the war in his brain, all of these people are criticizing him for not sacrificing his soul. He has a golden soul. There's no way he doesn't.
It vaguely reminds me of, I would need to verify this, but I could have sworn like kamikaze pilots were in general just like, it was a divided issue even amongst like some of the members of the Japanese military. Like one admiral even said like he found it kind of a waste of resources to train these pilots and build these planes just for the specific purpose of crashing them into enemy craft. Like the idea was you show up as a kamikaze pilot, you expend all your munitions, like fire all your bullets, drop all your bombs, and then for the final go, you just crash the plane into their like carriers or something.
As opposed to doing a 180.
An admiral was just like, I feel like this is just a waste of resources.
Noriko is coming into Koichi's life. They start to build that life together. They start to build up that home. They raise the child together. And then Koichi finally gets his first good job. That isn't a scam. It's a real job. And all he has to do is get on a boat with these other guys and go out, and he has to
Disarm mines.
Yeah, he just has to decommission some mimes. he has to decommission some mimes.
I also wanted to add that it was a really cool scene at one point. I don't know if it happened yet, but I think it did, where his old neighbor sees him and Noriko with that child, and then she, even though she fucking hates his guts, she couldn't help but like want to help that kid or something.
It turned out that she lost her children in the air raid, and probably, her potential grandchildren. And so she wanted to help with that child so bad. Such a heart-wrenching story. Like,
yeah, she was all like, this child is like only like insert how old it was, I forgot. Like it can't be eating this kind of food. And then she like whips up something.
She gives them the rest of her rice. And she's like, oh, well, it's the rest of my rice, but it's for the baby. So she always says these backhanded things, which
like,
I think is hilarious.
I'm not helping you because I like you. I just want to help this kid. It starts off that way.
Yeah. Like
What the fuck?
Like young Eric, remember?
Yeah,
Abel?
well, yeah. When I was trying to help PapaNasty raise his first 17 children, I was like, you know what? Here's some diapers. Don't use them. I know you
I'll
love to
change
use them. But like, you weirdo. Keep them for the kids. Don't drink the formula.
Is this minesweeping job where we meet the MVP, the GOAT, Kenji?
Dude, Kenji is absolutely incredible. I completely agree. His team, when he gets the minesweeping job, he gets a team of people, and we're looking at Yuki Yamada, right? A young crewman. So he's like the younger kid who's never been in the war. And he keeps saying, oh, if I was in the war, I would have done this. Oh, if I was in the war, I would have done that.
Yeah, he plays Shiro.
Oh, yeah. Shiro Muzishima. And then who else do we have on this boat? We got Hideka Yoshioka, and then he plays Kenji Noda, the absolute GOAT, formal naval weapons engineer. This guy, he is the nerd, right? I think they call him Doc right out the gate.
Yeah, he's basically like a weapons research specialist.
And then who was the guy who was the captain of the ship, basically?
I forgot you're telling the guy who has not had a chance to rewatch it.
I know. I was trying to ask you so I could stall for time.
Seiji Akitsu? Was it him?
I'm trying to look. I think you're right, but I have to figure out. Oh, yeah. Maybe Yoji Akitsu?
Maybe. I don't know.
Captain of the Shinsei Maru, which is the boat that they were on.
Yeah, I also like that there's that joke where he said the job description said that it would be like a protected or like well-defended boat, and then he gets there and it's a fucking dinghy.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, this job is well protected. These mines are magnetic and the boat's made of wood.
Oh my God.
It was something like that.
Yeah, that's so genius. So the captain of the boat, he was played by Koronosuke
Sasaki.
There it is. And then he played Yoji Akitsu, who I love his attitude. His attitude about the military and everything. He is the person that gets to affirm Koichi, because Koichi is dealing with survivor's guilt twofold. He's dealing with it because of he was an active kamikaze pilot. Plus, he saw all these people get whopped out by Godzilla. And so now he's dealing with all of this. And this guy is like, he's immediately saying, the government's kind of fucked up. Oh, the government was doing expendable things. He was using Japanese lives as expendabilities. So I do appreciate his perspective a lot.
Yeah, they treat us like we don't matter. The only thing that matters was victory.
So we get to see them on the boat, their successful mine missions, coming home. We get a montage of their beautiful home being, slowly put together. And then do we get to the part where they have a dinner at the house?
Yeah.
So they have a dinner at the house. They've established that they have a friendship now, like a devout friendship.
Yep.
They're all at their home.
They're like a family, basically, just not in name. Like, not officially, but it's clearly like they're turning into like a family.
And it's funny because all these guys that he works with, they don't even know the story behind them, because at some point, one of the guys makes like a little joke and he's like, hey, don't talk to her like that. She's a married woman, to Noriko. And then suddenly she gets all bashful and she leaves. And they're like, what the heck? She's not married? And then he's like, no, you don't understand the situation. He explains it to them.
She's a squatter.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Out of left
It's
field.
wild. But basically, that's what he says.
Yeah, she just showed up and never left.
Yeah. And they're like, why wouldn't you put a ring on that, bro? Like, she prepares your home for you.
She's bad.
She's kind of a baddie, though. What the hell's wrong with you?
There was a scene where they're sleeping apart and he's having like a little bit of he's tripping a bit. And I was
Nightmare?
like, oh, yeah, he's a nightmare. I'm like, oh, what the heck? Are they a couple? What's going on? Maybe that's a Japanese culture thing. It is Japanese culture. Even though like husband and wife may be married, they will sleep apart. That's like not uncommon at all. I was like, whoa, that's weird. But yeah, no,
That's fascinating.
But they're
Okay.
they're just friends.
So although they were sleeping apart, she had no reason to suspect, hey, I might be in the friend zone.
Yeah, that's the question of the pod. That'll be the ending question. Was she friend zoned or who friend zoned first?
Well, if we're gonna talk about like a theme that pops up later as a line, Koichi is not ready to like show affection for anybody yet, because as that one line puts it, like he's still fighting his war.
Yes.
You raise a good point of, I think they do show the scene where he's like dealing with his shit and she has to kind of take care of him, because he wakes up from the dream and he's like, is this a dream? Is this real? And he's like, starts freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, starts freaking out on her, and she's there for him even through that.
Her reaction too is like, what the fuck? Like, it's not like, oh, I'll take care of you. She's like looking at him like, oh my God. Like, because around that time, there was no such thing as PTSD. It was more of a shell shock.
They called it shell shock.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was PTSD. They just didn't know what to call it.
But it wasn't like, oh, well, look, it was like, no, it's not talked about. Like, you're a bitch if you're crying about war.
Yeah.
It was frowned upon.
That's insane, but it's very true. Like, and especially in a strict culture like Japan.
Yes.
And so, the events of the dinner happen. Everyone leaves. It's not necessarily the next day, but the next thing we see is she's ready. She's dressed up. You haven't seen her dressed up before.
Oh yeah, she's gonna go get a job.
She's going to go get a job.
She cleaned up a lot. I was like, holy shit. She goes from looking ragged to...
Well, she went from a hobo to a working woman. And so,
Like, whoa,
it
like,
makes
hey,
sense.
That's the same Noriko? Like...
You mean she went from a squatter to a...
Yeah, a squatter
Yeah.
to a working woman. He says something along the lines early on where he's like, what do? Beg for money? And she's like, what should I do? Sell my body? And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, whoa, my bad.
But now
we're
we
all
know.
dealing with stuff right now.
She could have more money. But anyways, that's a different story. But no, there was a scene that we skipped over when Kiko calls him daddy. And he's like, don't call me daddy. Like, not in a mean way, but he's like, no, I'm
not your dad.
I'm not your dad. And everybody's like, what are you doing? Like, and that's when they kind of realize.
That's cruel. They tell him that's cruel.
That's cruel. Godzilla's mean, but he's cruel.
Has the scene where they took Noriko's picture happened yet? Was that
I
at
think
that
right
dinner or was
after.
that later?
I think
right
right,
after that?
after. They're like, ch-ch-ch.
Yeah, the famous horror trope where like they take the picture of somebody and it lingers on that picture a little too long for comfort to foreshadow something bad's about to happen.
Oh, spoiler.
So she got a job because she's like, hey, I must be holding you back. Like, obviously you want to get married, and you don't want anything to do with me. But she's such a sweetheart about it. She's not petty or anything. She says, I'm going to go get a job and you can find a woman. It's all going to work out just fine.
She's playing with him because she can read him better than he can read himself.
Yup. And then you can already tell he's like, don't I provide enough for you? Don't I do this? Don't I do that? So he already sees her as a partner, but he's not willing to admit it, kind of thing. So they drop off the daughter at the neighbor's house. She goes on her merry way to start her job there. He continues what he's doing, but then I think we get a glimpse of what's going on with Godzilla.
Yep.
Oh, and so what happens here is it's actually the U.S. military dealing with Godzilla first and foremost. They drop the bombs outside of Bikini
Bottom.
The Bikini Atoll testing.
Yep, this happened in real life. This is post the 2 bombs they drop in Japan, so they don't even acknowledge that in the movie. Then they have the bomb they drop at Bikini. What do you call it?
Bikini Atoll. It's an island. An atoll is like a very tiny island.
A very tiny island. And what's crazy is apparently historically the US did that and they completely disregarded the people that lived on the island and didn't account for nuclear fallout. And so all those people had to evacuate the island because they did that. But I guess Godzilla was there. And so that's where he initially is mutated. And so now we get mutated Godzilla. They have this little montage of like, oh, he's destroying our ships. He's doing this. He's doing that. And then he makes his way back to Japan. But right now there's an issue because the Japanese military is technically not supposed to.
It's decommissioned.
They're not supposed to engage because they're decommissioned until 1951. And this happens in 1946.
Japan basically has no military at this point.
Yep.
They send some out to begin with, but then it immediately falters.
They've been like decommissioned and de-armed, so what standing military they do have is not capable of any large-scale engagements.
So we have our boys on the boat once again, the people that we love. We have the doc, the kid, the captain, and our main character Koichi, and they're out there a usual mine mission. And then the doc lets them know, hey, we're kind of out here for other reasons today.
Yeah, they actually put us out here as bait for Godzilla.
So we're supposed to hold them off until the military ships can show up. And they're like, what are you talking about? We're a wooden boat. They're like, use some of the mines that we collected. That's what we can do.
Let's just drop some mines and hope he runs into them.
And that's what
motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. Doc is like a little bit more. He's a little bit closer to the military, but he does stand up later, so I appreciate it. The captain just once again digs into, you can't trust the fucking government, etc. But then when they do have the chance, when Godzilla finally shows up and Koichi's like, we need to leave, we can't be here. Or it could have even have been the kid, the young one. He says, if we don't stand up to this creature, who's going to?
Mm-hmm. That was a 6 scene.
So,
if not us, who will?
Yup. And so they try, dude. They try to fight Godzilla. It's insane. They use the mines they have in their boat.
The machine gun?
They try to shoot him, that nothing's working. And so finally they drop a mine. They blow up a mine on his scales, does nothing. They drop a mine, it gets into his mouth. They shoot it, it explodes. It blows up part of his mouth.
When I saw that scene, I was thinking of Jaws. You ever seen Jaws?
This whole scene made me think of
this
Jaws.
whole scene is basically Jaws.
Did you know that the director said part of inspiration was Steven Spielberg and Jaws, and also, what is the other movie? Attack of the from the other world. Come on, you got this.
War of the
Worlds.
I thought you were gonna say Attack on Titan. I was like, what, Shingeki no Kyojin?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, so he's inspired by some Steven Spielberg here. So all of those scenes in the boat, you get heavy Jaws vibe. Yeah,
and then the whole time I was like, you're gonna need a bigger boat because he's fucking huge, man.
I was thinking the same thing. Dude.
Like, it's one thing to see how big Godzilla is, but it's like even scarier to see him at scale next to something because he was so big compared to the boat. Like, the boat was as big as his fucking head.
I think at this point he is 1,600 feet, so he's 3 times bigger than he was. Oh, not way bigger actually. Holy shit!
Yeah, just a little bit.
He's like 300 times bigger or 30 times bigger. Whatever. Regardless, he's a fucking massive guy. But luckily, they hold him off just long enough for the military cruiser to come through in that boat. And yay, they're saved. Everything's going to go just fine. As they're watching him regenerate from the mine, they're like, oh, fuck, he didn't do anything to him. They start shooting at Godzilla, and Godzilla goes and just destroys the giant warship. And they just have to sit there in awe as he destroys it. But they manage to scuttle away. Everyone wants to warn. They want to warn everybody about it, but technically Doc says that they're not supposed to tell anybody, that they're actually supposed to keep it a secret.
The last thing they need is a panic.
Because Koichi took some damage during the explosion of when the bomb was blowing up in Godzilla's face, he got like some head trauma. So when Koichi wakes up, he's in the hospital and he's like, guys, what the fuck's going on? That's when they tell him, hey, chill it. We're gonna we can't say nothing.
Dealing with the situation.
And then he finally has a heart to heart with Noriko and lets her in.
Okay.
Was that scene where Godzilla basically heals from the wound? Was that where they finally played like the signature Godzilla theme song for the first time in the movie, I think?
And then we might even get the signature Godzilla roar. We might have got it earlier.
Oh yeah, no, he did it as soon as he showed up in the very beginning of the movie.
Do you know how they did the roar?
Yeah, they basically got a glove and scratched it along like the strings of a cello.
What? I didn't know that. Holy crap. That's the OG noise, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they took like a glove. I don't remember if it was like a bass or like a fucking cello or something, but they basically like just like scratch it along the strings and it makes that like sound.
Can you do it again? Do that sound again, Abel?
I can't do it.
That was incredible.
Come on, Abel.
But in order to do it for this movie, they took the original sound, they played it over speakers and recorded it, and then that's what they used for the new Godzilla sound.
Yeah, because I remember when I saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, oh, they like Shin Godzilla, they brought back the original roar of Godzilla for sound effects.
Once, as they're fighting Godzilla during that scene, he does actually tell them about Godzilla, and he also divulges that he was an ex-kamikaze pilot. And so, like, they finally know, like, oh,
backstory confession.
Yeah, you're a dishonorable individual kind of thing. If we don't step up, then who the hell is going to? That's exactly what he says when that happens. It's insane. But then when you pointed out about the Godzilla, it's basically a Jaws remake. Oh my God! You know what I almost glazed over? How does he destroy the big boat?
Atomic breath? No.
Yep. Yeah, no, you're right. They fire on him. He dives underneath and then uses his atomic
breath from underwater
to fucking destroy that boat, and then they get away. Oh no. So they finally get away. Everyone's freaking out. Koichi's like, we got to tell somebody. Doc's like, no, we can't. We're not supposed to. And so now there shouldn't be any problems whatsoever, except for Godzilla does reemerge.
He shows up in Tokyo.
What is the name of the place?
The Ginza district.
He shows up in the Ginza district,
where Noriko works.
We did not have to bother talking about location shooting because everything in this film is virtually filmed on site.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a Japanese movie made in Japan. Of course, it takes place in Tokyo.
Yeah, they said it took place in the Kanto region, and they're like, we'll just film there. That's what we're going to do. And they had just incredible CGI artists too.
What was that, Eric?
I don't know. That was
great. When you said Kanto region, you made me think of Death Note.
Oh, I thought I was thinking Pokemon is what I thought.
Pokemon too, but I was thinking of Death Note when L basically got Light to out himself, where he was like, so my plan was to just broadcast this at different places at different times to narrow down where you're at, and you just told me where you're at. Because this is being broadcast in the Kanto region of Japan, so you just told me where you live, you fucking dumbass. And you also told me you're impulsive because you just had to do it.
Yep, true. I can't wait till we do a Death Note episode. We'll do the film. We'll do the Death Note film.
Oh God.
Oh God, we'll love it.
Hey, Willem Dafoe as Ryuko was a goated casting though.
Dude, that's another impression we got to get down. Willem Dafoe.
Anyways, so Godzilla shows up in Ginza. Take it away.
Godzilla shows up in Ginza, but who is our friend who is just got a brand new job so she could show she's an independent woman, and now she's working in Ginza.
Taking a ride on the train.
No! Yeah, so she's on the train to work, Noriko, and Godzilla shows up and just chucks a fucking train car in front of him. And then he shows up and starts grabbing the train and just like tearing it apart. And she has to pull some freaking, I don't know, she has to pull some acrobatic maneuver, holding on for dear life until she's over the water. She drops into the water. But this is one of the first really good looks we get at Godzilla.
Yeah, full body shot. He's towering over the buildings and he's just wrecking Godzilla. Or wrecking downtown as Godzilla.
What is his motivation? What's his inspiration? What do you guys got? Why
he hates
is he doing
humanity. He's a creature of pure rage and destruction at this point.
I feel like he's in pain.
That's Shin Godzilla.
Kind of like Shin Godzilla. Or unless he's so butthurt by it.
It's kind of a meme that, like, there's this meme right now that shows two pictures of Godzilla. One's Shin Godzilla and one's Godzilla -1. And the meme says like one of these is just a creature crying in pain, wanting to like just living in absolute suffering. The other one is a genocidal monster that just loves destruction. You may be surprised which one is which. Because Shin Godzilla is the scarier looking one, but it's the one that would rather mind its own business. Meanwhile, -1 is just wrecking downtown Tokyo because fuck you, that's why.
No, dude, I completely agree with you. Hell yeah. PapaNasty, what do you got?
I think Godzilla represents Mother Nature, and that if we don't take care of the environment, that a monster will come and destroy us all. And it comes down.
I feel like you're not wrong. You're literally not far off from the truth.
He sounds like Dr. Malcolm from Jurassic Park. Life will find a way.
What's fascinating is the director actually broke down his inspiration for Godzilla, and he points out how in the Americanized version of Godzilla, Godzilla is a cool monster who goes and destroys things because wow, is he a crazy monster. But in Japanese lore, he's half monster, half god, and not like a god to worship, but he's
A force of nature.
a force of nature, a god of calamity, just like you were saying there, PapaNasty. So that's a really good way to put it, though. You're not wrong. Yeah, it's crazy. So he shows up. He's virtually just pissed at humanity. He's a force of nature. He's destroying this town. And she survives, luckily. She gets out of the water. She's running down the street. And Koichi had found out that Godzilla was attacking the town. So he shows up to save her life. They're running down the street together. And then Godzilla gets pissed the fuck off. I'm pretty sure he's getting attacked by the military.
I also wanted to add how awesome it was that there was that live news reporter on the rooftop reporting this right next to Godzilla as Godzilla's rampaging downtown. I was like, the dedication to get this broadcast going.
He's literally like, we're so close to the action. We shouldn't be here. Are we gonna die?
Yo, they're definitely gonna die.
What if Godzilla's so angry because all he's searching for is love? And when he goes exploring the world, the people attack him and they hurt him. And that's what triggers him. Because he's the only one of his race. And he's just searching for love.
That's incredible.
I think the locals of Oda Island even said that Godzilla was a creature that was to be left alone.
Yeah, exactly. Before his mutation, he was already mad.
Yeah, you don't fuck with Godzilla. Like, that was just like what the locals said or something. Like, not in the movie, but I think like in a lot of interpretations of Godzilla lore, like anyone from the area where Godzilla lives says like, do not fuck with him.
Yeah, well, look what happens at the beginning scene. He's just chilling, going for a late night walk because he's alone. He's the last.
They shine
Godzilla.
a light on him, startle him, and he starts tearing up
you
house.
sound like Will Smith from Men in Black right now.
And what do?
Walking around with like fucking like physics books at 3 a.m. She's about to start some shit, Zed.
Yeah.
Those books are, I don't know about you, but those books are way too advanced for her.
They're shining lights in his face. He knocks the dude away, telling him to stop. Don't shine that light in my face. Then what happens? He's just going for his walk. Some jackass shoots him. They keep shooting at him. What does he do? He defends himself. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You drop a nuclear bomb on my face, of course I'm going to be fucking pissed.
I know. Yeah. I also think that Godzilla's out for a fucking vengeance. He's a vendetta, dude.
He didn't want to be this big. He wanted to just be chilling, eating some fish, fucking up maybe a tree or two, and now he's the size of a New York fucking city Eiffel Tower, like skyscraper. Dead.
I looked it up. He's 164 feet tall. He's the same size he was in the original movie.
Oh, there it is. So he's 3 times larger than he was when he wasn't. Yeah, that's fascinating. Also, he's got a dumpy, dude. I don't know if you guys noticed, but them thighs be thick.
No, leg day, he never misses. Yeah.
No, dude, he's
how much
eating
can,
lunch.
How much can this guy deadlift?
He's eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a few snacks because damn, that dumpy though got me kind of acting up.
Kind of looked like Eric there from a minute from the back. I'm like, Eric, what are you doing?
I found the suit online. I Amazon that shit in Kayla's size. Let's go.
I remember reading when they designed the 2014 Godzilla, and I think the design logic still stands here. They said they made his legs thicker because they wanted to realistically be able to support his giant size.
Yeah.
Because they said the inspiration was like, say, look at the legs of an elephant versus any creature half that size. Like,
True.
They basically have like trunks for legs.
Yeah, Godzilla got the hippopotamus bottomus, you know? He got that. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna stop sussing over fucking Godzilla.
He does the most iconic shot in the movie where he just unleashes his atomic breath to like finally destroy every last bit of fucking Tokyo, and then it creates a giant mushroom cloud, and then he just roars.
Yeah, Godzilla
And
goes Super
Noriko
Saiyan.
dies. Yeah,
I thought that
Noriko
was-
dies in the shockwave from that because it blows her away. Pushes him into the alley to save him.
That was such a sad scene. I did not see that one coming, surprisingly.
Oh, good. Yeah, that probably devastated you, bro.
Oh, dude.
I had a feeling she was gonna die with the way it was like foreshadowed with the picture, but I just didn't expect her to go out like that. I remember when I saw that, I was like, damn. Dying right in front of him.
This movie does what not many Godzilla movies have done. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, that they probably have in like some of the previous ones.
I know I
It's-
cared about Matthew Broderick.
It's genuinely showing the devastation of the city, of the people. It's not, I'm a big monster, I'm going to destroy the Colosseum. It's like when you destroy a building, it actually has ramifications to the people around you. When you fire your Nova breath, it causes nuclear fallout immediately afterwards.
Yeah, it was started like ash snowing.
So they just dealt with 2 atomic bombs, and now you have Godzilla showing up and basically dropping another atomic bomb on Tokyo, which is hilarious. I mean, not hilarious, but it's crazy.
Irony.
It's crazy. It's crazy because the director is obsessed with history. And what was the 3rd place that the U.S. was going to drop a bomb until they
Tokyo.
surrendered? They were going to drop a bomb on Tokyo. That shit's crazy.
I remember in Oppenheimer, they had a nod to the fact that they wanted to drop one on Kyoto, but opted not to. So they chose Nagasaki instead. In Oppenheimer, the guy was like, me and my wife used to holiday in Kyoto. I'd rather not do that.
That's insane.
That's, as far as we know, not the real reason. I think they said like weather and logistics prohibited them from flying over Kyoto at the time that they were planning to do it. So they chose Nagasaki instead. But who knows?
Fuck. Yeah. But you have Noriko pushing Koichi into this alleyway to save his life. She gets swept away by the explosion. She gets like absorbed back into it almost. And he is almost in shock for a few seconds, like goes out, walks around, realizes everyone's gone, sees Godzilla, and just kind of just breaks down.
Godzilla quite literally flattened Tokyo because he walks out from that alley and there's literally nothing around him.
He gets home. They're holding a vigil for her. He's literally sitting in the corner by himself, like still PTSD, shell shocked. Once again, survivor's guilt for the 3rd fucking time. Just like it's compounding on his ass.
Can I add how anguished he sounded when he just like looked at Godzilla and just started screaming in anguish over what he just witnessed? Like that actor just nailed that.
He did a great fucking job.
I do want to bring up one thing because I do want to bring levity to the situation. So I originally watched it in the Japanese subtitles, but then I rewatched it in the English dub on Netflix because that's available. The voice actor for Koichi was Darren Barnett, and I did some quick research because I was kind of curious what he had done before this. He did Gran Turismo.
Oh no. Let me
He was Matty Davis in Gran Turismo, so I don't know if you remember who that was.
Oh, he's probably just one of the drivers or something.
But you know what his first movie was? It was 2020 American
Oh,
Pie presents
no.
Girls Rules.
Oh yeah, I know who this guy is. Oh,
Do you really? How do you know who this is? It's insane.
No, I mean like I don't know him, no, but like when I looked at the poster for American Pie, I was like, oh yeah, I know which character that was in Gran Turismo.
That's amazing. Okay, so there's the levity of the situation. Something devastating just happened, but that's nuts to me, dude. Our boy, our voice actor, it was from American Pie, baby. Let's go.
Oh, he was also in Anyone But You.
Yep. And then after that, he was. I just saw that too. He was just in Roadhouse.
I haven't seen the new one.
I want to see the new one. I feel like I'm gonna make you guys do an episode on it.
It was good.
I need to see the original because Mike told me to watch it.
We'll do the original. Fuck the sequel. No, we're doing the original.
it's
The
not a
original's
sequel.
good, dude.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
If you thought there was butt cheeks in Rush, there's titties in Roadhouse.
There's titties.
I saw Dirty Dancing a few months back, and I'm like, wow, this movie is actually really good.
I bet you did, you dog. You dirty dog. Abel.
It's a little tiny.
Meow, meow, meow.
What?
But yeah, no,
What? Get the fuck
I don't know.
out
It's
of here.
crazy.
Jesus.
But yeah, no, Dirty Dancing is good. Though there's movies that people don't give enough credit, dude. Kevin Bacon, Dirty Dancing is goated. But We'll save that for the end of the pod. We'll dive in. We'll dive into.
That was Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze. Kevin Bacon was in
Oh no!
Footloose, you fuck.
I'm thinking Footloose. This is embarrassing. That's also a good movie, though. That's also a good movie.
No, it's
That's also a good movie.
I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
Okay, Kevin Bacon Footloose versus Patrick Swayze Dirty Dancing 1v1, no couple
Versus
dancing.
John Travolta, Grease.
Who wins? You decide. There it is. There's the poll for the pod today.
There it is.
It's going to be completely unrelated. They're going to be like, what does this have to do with the podcast? Well, we figured it out. All right. Well, they have the vigil. He's absolutely devastated. But then shortly afterwards, they have an opportunity, don't they? I think the
military has been taking a stand there, like asking people to volunteer.
Yeah. No, Doc pulls him in. He's like, hey,
the military
I'm part of an
itself has taken
independent-
a step back.
Doc's like, hey, I'm a part of the Illuminati, and we're gonna take down. No, he's there.
That's not what I meant necessarily. It's more like people are volunteering to try and take a stand because the government's basically got their hands tied. Like, we don't know what to do.
They genuinely can't do anything. If they do anything, it's going to cause an issue between America and the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Well, America is also the ones that demilitarized Japan in the first place, and they kind of don't want
5
to.
years.
And they also didn't want to ask America for help.
Yeah.
Like, this is a Japan issue. We should deal with Japanese people.
Yeah, but PapaNasty, you were saying Doc actually steps in and says something.
Yeah, Doc pulls him to the side and is like, hey, I'm part of a special group of individuals.
The Avengers.
That's outside the government that are wanting to. I'm just saying.
The Avengers Initiative.
And then Coach is like, I don't play well with others. And then, yeah.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
That's good. That's good, Abe.
That's so good. But he does agree. He shows up for the first day, and it turns out it's led by an ex-naval officer.
Basically, yeah.
And all of the people there were ex-Navy as well, primarily, short of Koichi, who shouldn't be alive, and then, a handful of other people. But they break down the plan.
Kamikaze pilots were part of the Navy.
Oh.
Wait,
well,
what?
Thank you. I had no idea.
Say that again?
Kamikaze pilots were part of the Navy.
Cool. I didn't realize. I thought they had an Air Force. Yeah.
The Navy has its own Air Force, and those are the ones that take off from carriers, which is where Koichi would have came from.
Bro. Okay.
He's a Navy pilot. It's a common misconception, same thing about Top Gun. A lot of people join the Air Force because of Top Gun. Like, no, they're Navy pilots in Top Gun, not Air Force pilots.
Bro, nice. Good. Dude, this is why I appreciate having... I feel like you're such a historical buff. You're a military, but you're such a buff on so many things. That's why I appreciate that you have the... He's literally... Just so everybody knows, he's fact-checking himself right now because he wants to make sure.
Yeah, you can see the screen brightening up on my glasses.
Yeah, but this is our mentat right now, so everybody appreciate him. Okay, so everybody's Navy virtually.
Yep, kamikazes were part of the Japanese Special Attack Units, and then here we go, Japanese Special Attack Units were specialized units of the Imperial Japanese Navy and Japanese Army. But, he was a kamikaze, so he was part of the Navy.
Okay, so they're having the meeting, and it turns out that it's all ex-Navy, and the captain stands up. It's a brand new captain, which I'm not gonna look up him
yet.
We haven't met him yet, but I'm not gonna look up his name. But he's a great guy, and he delivers a speech. The doc shows how they can take care of Godzilla. They're going to essentially take two boats. They're going to rotate them around Godzilla. They're going to strap these tanks to them, and then the tanks is a specific chemical that when it gets released into the water, it's going to drop Godzilla from the surface of the water into the bottom of the trench.
So the idea behind that is by creating a vacuum of bubbles around Godzilla, it would decrease the density of the water, making him sink.
So he drops into the water over 1,500 feet.
No, meters.
Meters, which is crazier because
that's deep in. They want to cause explosive decompression to kill him. Like if the pressure doesn't kill him, then explosive decompression would.
Yeah, it was like 1,500 pounds of pressure per square inch.
They're hoping to crush him.
To crush him.
And if that doesn't, then they just inflate the tubes and bring him back up, and maybe the decompression would kill him. It was a twofold plan.
What's it called? What is that? SIDS? SIBS?
SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome.
No, but no. When the pressurization, when you go down and you come up too fast, what's it called?
I think that's explosive decompression or something.
But what's the abbreviation for it? There's smart ass Abel. You fucking.
You keep using Abel like he's Google, so I mean.
Fucking, this is having some malfunctions right now. Where's the update?
Here, I'm gonna look it up right now. Explosive decompression acronym. Rapid gas decompression.
It's just ED.
I have ED, but that has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
I'm so funny. Okay, anyways.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
yeah. It's just called explosive decompression.
I know, yeah. Oh, we're gonna let you sit on that one, PapaNasty. Their plan is to drop him to the bottom of this trench, and then rapidly bring him back up. So either if it doesn't kill him from decompressing him, it's gonna kill him from decompressing him. But then Koichi says, what if none of this works? And he offers himself as tribute. He says, hey, let me get a plane. If you can put me in a
bomb into him.
Yeah, let me get in a plane. I can at least distract him and take him to the trench. Because what if he doesn't even want to go to the trench in the first place? They managed to get their hands on a plane, which is a plane that they had developed
Experimental prototype.
for the war, that was experimental, but it was never commissioned. Also, it was old. It's years old at this point. And so he says, I need a mechanic to get this plane working. I know the mechanic I should get. And he chooses Tachibana, the only other survivor of the original Godzilla attack, who hates his guts. And so he's like, how do I get a hold of this guy? He essentially finds out where the guy to where Tachibana came out of. He couldn't find his exact address. So he just started sending him a bunch of just letters.
mail.
Just
He
a
sent
bunch
him
of hate mail.
where he was talking mad shit, knowing he would come find him.
Yeah.
Because this guy doesn't want to be found. So how do you get found by someone who doesn't want to be found? You make them want to come find you.
You literally think he's like begging him to show up, but then finally when he shows up, he hits Koichi in the back of the head with a stick. Koichi wakes up handcuffed, and the guy's like, you want to talk all that shit after what you did? I'll kill you. And he's like, no. It was just a prank. It was just a prank, bro. This is YouTube. It's fine. It was insane. And he's like, no, that's the only way I knew I could get you to show up, and you would actually be here.
And so
I
he hits
need
him
you.
with the hear me out.
Hear me out. Do you want to stop Godzilla and save all of fucking Japan? Because this is your only opportunity. Do you want to get vengeance for the people that died today? He pulls out the envelope that was given to Tachibana way back on the boat that we did not spoil, because I'm so proud of us. And it turned out to be pictures of all of the mechanics that died on that island. Tachibana wanted to make sure that he
Never forgot.
He never forgot, and he didn't. He held it to that day. And after saying all that, Tachibana agrees, and he goes and he fixes up this plane, which is insane because I've never seen a plane designed like that before, but the propeller was on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're I forget. You're a little.
I mean, yeah, I'm the pilot boy. This is technically a single engine plane, but as opposed to the engine being in the front, like traditional single engine planes, it was in the rear. But regardless, the fuselage is still the front of the plane. And so what they did was they installed a bomb in the front of the plane, which I feel like they had to do for, I don't know, movie purposes, but I think those planes actually did exist.
It probably is also weight distribution, since, like you said, the engine's in the back. It would probably affect how that thing even flies.
Yep, exactly. They installed more guns. They made it a kamikaze plane once again.
They installed some bombs into it.
Yeah, he has another opportunity that he missed.
Which wouldn't that fucked up the weight of it if they threw an additional, like, how much would a bomb weigh?
They actually accounted for it too, because they
account for that stuff when they design these planes.
They accounted for it too while installing it, because he's a mechanic, and there's no way, there's like different forms of mechanics.
They also remove parts to make room for more weapons.
Yeah, I imagine it's different for every country.
Yeah, I'm saying, imagine it's made by Toyota, so it's gonna be running good.
So there is a weight and balance sheet when you get into an airplane, and so the specs of the airplane, there is a weight and balance. If you were to take out or add anything additional, you have to account on that for the weight and balance. And then once you do the weight and balance, you determine whether or not it's within, the category, or if it's within a separate category, or if you cannot use it whatsoever. So in this case, it is a militarized plane. It is a large engine based on what you could see. It was fucking huge. And so they could account for excess weight. And when they were describing it to Koichi, they said, oh, this many kilos was into the guns. This many kilos was into the bomb. This many kilos was into the bomb that was in your fuselage, which is the front of the plane. So they account, not only do they have to account for the weight of the plane, they have to account to how the weight is distributed in the plane. And so there's the aft or the forward of it. And so you don't want a plane to be too forward and you don't want a plane to be too aft. And because he was an expert lead mechanic, very likely like a authorized inspection mechanic as opposed to a power plant mechanic, he was able to like account for all these variables. And so Koichi could be a kamikaze pilot once more. But this time he's dying for something he believes in as opposed to dying for something.
And now he can die nobly like he should have done all those years ago.
And he has a reason too. He tells him, he's like, I have a daughter back home, you know, even before he goes on to this mission, the daughter, Akiko, she calls him daddy. She draws a picture. She's like, oh, is that mommy? That's mommy. She's all sad because mommy hasn't come back because mommy's on a business trip. Oh, it was so heart-wrenching when she starts crying.
That was a rough scene. I was like, oh. Oh. And then, but his jacket was badass. I love those
the aviator jacket.
Those
the bomber jacket.
Oh, those are so fucking good. I'm like, fuck. I want to buy one so fucking bad.
You should. We should all have matching ones. Let's see what happens.
And then Tachibana gives him instructions on like what buttons to press that like would like release the bomb or detonate it or whatever. Giving him instructions on all that shit and live long and prosper, all that type of deal. Yeah. Wishes him off on his mission.
Now it's the day. It's the day. It's the day. It's the dollar. Before they even start the day, they get out of the meeting. They get out of the meeting where they discuss everything and they tell the kid, the youngest one who's never been in war, they tell him, stay behind, you're the next generation. They don't even tell him that. They don't say you're the next generation. They whisper that under their breath. They're like, no, you're not going to be with us. You're staying behind. You're a kid. Your arm's all fucked up. You're not going to be helping us out. They leave the kid behind. Koichi is in the pilot seat. He finds Godzilla out in the
ocean.
Out in the ocean, Godzilla starts rampaging through like this like little rural area, and he manages to draw Godzilla over to the trench. They have complete faith in him because they load up 4 different boats full of Navy men. They drive him out into the middle of the ocean.
Can I say one thing? So are you saying that like Godzilla was just hanging out, chilling, minding his own business, and then they started poking at Godzilla to draw him out to kill him?
Essentially, yeah. They record his sound and they put it in the ocean to draw him to the surface. He was essentially, yeah. Well, they speculated he'd be back in 10 days because now he had like a territory, but there was no confirmation.
So he might have heard some Godzilla bitches out and about. He got excited, and then they pulled their heist on him.
Well, it's because at the end of the day, he is an animal.
True, but they did pull the heist.
It's a behavior you can observe in any territorial animal. Once they enter a new area, it's now their territory.
Well, Abel, did you ask him what his pronouns are? Huh? Did you ask him what his beliefs?
He, him.
They tried.
Did anyone ever try and talk to Godzilla? Instead of just shoot a gun in his face?
Yeah,
no, they didn't.
And he just killed him. Yeah,
he destroyed a whole fucking town and left everyone with radiation poisoning. So yeah, they killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't eat them. He couldn't be caught eating them. But boy, would he leave you with nuclear fallout. He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, if he didn't kill you, the radiation would.
All those times that Koichi was around Koichi was around him. He never had any radiation issues. Like, didn't have any radiation poisoning or.
Ooh, we're gonna have a discussion about that because at the end, I have looked up a couple things because I was curious about the radiation thing. Okay, so Godzilla shows up, but he doesn't show up where they want him to. Koichi has to drag his ass there. He's literally pulling off these like expert acrobatic maneuvers to fly around Godzilla, get him to the trench.
How realistic was that fight scene with him, though, Eric? Like, yes, being have some experience with piloting a
Just call me Maverick.
Maverick. I love that. Anyways,
Yeah, just call me
but how
Maverick.
exper-
I know.
How accurate were those scenes though? Like, was it like, was it or out of 1 through 10?
Some of the stuff I was fascinated by was him flipping upside down for scenes. Like that's like an acrobatic maneuver. And so it kind of expresses his comfortability in the plane. The plane could be utilized for that. It just expresses what he is comfortable with, because I will never flip upside down. I'll go 90 degrees, but I'm not going to go fucking upside down because there's no way in hell. So he's just flexing on everybody. He is a skilled pilot. And this only reflects on your point earlier, Abel, of what the Admiral had said. Why are we wasting these skilled pilots? Why are we making them just kill themselves at the end when we should,
they'd be more valuable going on more missions?
Yeah, so I completely agree with that, because he was an incredibly skilled pilot. He gets Godzilla out there. They execute the plan. It goes accordingly.
It goes according to plan, but the results were not what they expected. Godzilla didn't die.
So they get the canisters on Godzilla. Godzilla drops into the ocean. They try to bring him back up with the inflation devices, but Godzilla chews through them. So now they have to use the boats to drive.
He comes up sooner than expected, basically.
Or he doesn't come out at all. He gets to 800 meters and he stops. So they start dragging him out of the ocean, but they can't do it because they don't have enough manpower. And so lo and behold, the kid who they left behind, they said, this is the next generation. Don't you dare come out into the ocean. He shows up with a team of people on these shitty little boats.
Have you ever seen Dunkirk? This scene reminded me of Dunkirk. So, tiny history lesson. In World War II, when the Nazis managed to push back the Allies to the edge of France and they had to retreat back to the UK, they had evacuation boats coming across the English Channel picking people up. And yeah, at one point there's just like fleets of volunteers and just regular fishing boats, trawlers, whatever, just coming to like pick up troops and rescue them back to the UK. That's what that scene reminded me of, because it's all a bunch of civilian fishing boats and whatever.
And that's the point too of this is it was the civilians who did something against Godzilla, not the military. Even though these military trained people went out to fight Godzilla, at the end of the day, they wouldn't have gotten anywhere if the true civilians didn't show up to save the day.
Yeah.
They latch on, which they don't show the scene. I imagine it took incredibly long. We don't talk about that. And they actually managed to bring Godzilla back up to the surface, and he looks kind of fucked up, but at the end of the day, he was okay.
Bloated. He's bloated from the compression. His eyes are popping out and his like skin is ripping.
But it doesn't stop him from charging up an atomic blast.
He's even more pissed off now.
Now he's about to blast again. He blasted once. He destroyed a decoy ship, luckily. He's about to bust again, but then it's slow motion. Mouth opens. Everyone's like, this is it. We're done for. Koichi comes out of nowhere in his goddamn airplane, flying directly toward his mouth. And it's time for him to do what he was meant to do all along and sack himself. Drives right into Godzilla's mouth, blows off his head. But
what?
Right before he does so, it turns out Tachibana had installed
an ejection seat.
Because he said, when they had that conversation, Koichi said, I have something, to live for, but I have something to die for. Basically, this girl back home, I want my daughter to live. And like, you could see the recognition in Tachibana's eyes. And he's like, you know what? In a way, he's like proud of him.
Yeah. Tachibana had time to reflect over the events of the last couple of years, and he understands Koichi now, not necessarily Koichi specifically, but the idea of like, it's more important to live for something than die for something. So he doesn't want Koichi to die as a kamikaze pilot. Again, he wants him to just complete the mission, but come back.
The indomitable human spirit is what they like to call it. Like, wants to prevail above all else. And he gave Koichi an opportunity to do such that, and he lives. They catch him on the boat. It turns out nobody was harmed in the making of this. All of the people on the boat completely survived. It's nuts. It was the most successful mission ever. And they managed to defeat Godzilla, and everything's A-okay.
And then he gets a telegram telling him to go to the hospital.
Yeah, he gets a telegram.
Why was he wearing a blanket, though, at the end of when he's like coming down and he gets that telegram? Why was he wearing a blanket? He had a jacket. Nobody else was wearing one. He was just wearing a blanket. I thought that was kind of weird, wasn't it? Like, am I tripping?
Maybe it could have just been cold in the pilot seat, and like you are at like a higher elevation, and they didn't
Higher
have
altitude.
like they don't have they didn't have heaters. I don't know. This is the stuff I assume.
Anyways, so he gets a telegram. Well, what's his telegram about?
Wow, what's this telegram about?
It's a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory.
Timothy Chalamet brought him back. Haha.
In a world of pure imagination.
It turns out that Noriko that she didn't die. She actually survived. She might have one eye, but she didn't die.
Yeah, they found her in the wreckage, but since she had not woken up, they didn't know who she was or how to identify her, so he was not notified sooner.
So he goes to the hospital with their daughter, quote unquote, and they embraced for the first time in, for months, weeks, who knows at this point. It's been too long.
No, probably weeks.
Yeah, it's probably been a few weeks.
Yeah, because remember, it was like Godzilla's going to attack in 10 days. If this goes down, that's week and a half, maybe.
True.
Yeah.
He shows up, he embraces her. I love the scene as well, because a lot of this movie has been relatively dark, especially in, some of the harder times. He walks up that dark, it's like a darker stairwell. He opens that door, beautiful sunlight beaming in. He walks up to her, and then even though she's in bandages, the bandages aren't bandages, they're like silk on her face. Like, it's such a beautiful angelic scene. He wraps his arms around her. You can tell he finally appreciates her for who she is, and he's just so apologetic for everything he's done. He finally has finished his war because she asks him, are you finally done with your war?
Is your war finally over?
And he embraces her and everything's good, but as she turns her neck to the side,
Really?
You see a vein on the side of her neck, just like this black, just start growing, and you realize, like, is this radiation poisoning? What's going on? And then it cuts, and that is Godzilla -1.
Well, then remember, he goes down to the sea, and you see Godzilla's body.
You're right.
Godzilla's-
God damn it! I
Godzilla's
ruined
healing.
it.
There, come on.
God damn it. Okay, so
Shame
not only is she dying from something, but then also PapaNasty, like you were trying to say.
Godzilla's still alive.
He could be alive. Did Godzilla leave her a hickey? Ooh, another vouch for me question.
That's a good question. Well, because when he gets his head blown up, he's in the middle. When he gets his head blown up, he's in the middle of like charging like the atomic ray, the heat ray, and so it gets dispelled from his body. He crumbles apart, falls into the sea. But the ending scene is just a little blurb of him left behind, and it starts to grow.
growing.
He's going Cell from Dragon Ball Z. He's gonna come back a little bit
Thank
stronger.
you. Somebody had to say it because that's so accurate.
He's the ultimate life form.
And he's going to be bigger and badder than before.
Yeah.
Godzilla -2.
-2.
Well, because you get why they called it -1, right?
Yeah, they returned the nuclear bomb reduced Japan to a 0 state, and Godzilla took them back even further.
Yeah.
Because I
So
thought
fascinating.
I thought they were saying basically
It's a joke that got lost in translation.
that at the end they killed Godzilla. So now that Godzilla's
They have one
dead,
less Godzilla.
yeah.
But
one less.
considering,
That's so stupid.
Godzilla is a metaphor for so much more. God damn it. All right. I didn't give that enough credit. God damn it. But at the end of the day, Godzilla is a metaphor for something much greater than itself, a force of nature, a god being.
Initially, it was a metaphor for nuclear destruction.
Exactly. And now there is a speculation that isn't radiation poisoning because there's so many other people that have dealt with his atomic blast.
Bioyante or some shit. I don't know.
So now, as opposed to calling it radiation poisoning, people are saying that maybe it's some kind of weird,
She's mutated.
some weird mutation because of Godzilla. And so now, so that's a speculation. What if it's a mutation? What if it's tied to Godzilla somehow? What if in the sequel, she is a key point to the film because
Oh, hear me out. It's like COVID -1.
He might be cooking.
he might be, don't wait till they pull out the vaccines. All right. Then maybe.
What is he cooking?
What is he cooking? I'm not entirely sure. I can smell it. It smells good, but like, is it going to taste good?
It's like the
it's like
inside
that-
job.
It's like
Eric.
that.
It was man-made or
He's
Godzilla
cooking,
made.
he's cooking like that censored green slop you can make in Breath of the Wild when you mix incompatible ingredients.
No. Goddamn. Hey, I don't care if you told me to watch this movie, Abel. Do you vouch for me?
I absolutely vouch for you. This movie was fire.
PapaNasty, first time you've ever seen this movie. Do you vouch for me?
Fuck yeah, I vouch for you, buddy. Great job. Great fucking job.
Kill Watch Mary. What do you got?
Mary, I'm buying the Blu-ray.
Honestly, I'm gonna say watch.
Wild, but at least you're honest, because I'm gonna marry this film as well. I believe this is probably top 10 best movies I've ever seen. When you first watch it, it's a lot of stuff catches you off guard. When I rewatched it, I kind of was able to anticipate it, so I didn't cry by the end of it. But Mary for sure, best Godzilla movie I've ever seen. Absolutely.
Could I eventually marry it and have some babies and learn to?
Maybe after your war is over.
Yeah. Could I learn to do that? Yeah, maybe. Let me rewatch it again. I'll come back to you. You little vouchers. But no, I only watched it by myself. I didn't watch it with the chica. So I really love to see her reaction to the film, because I think she definitely would have cried at the end. She would have fucking bawled. Because I cried. I was like, fuck, this is a great ending. I was like, oh, she's alive. Fuck yeah, they're going to have a family. And then I was like, damn it. Are they? Or is she going to fucking eat them now at the end? What's going to happen? But
It turns into Resident Evil afterwards. It's like we
Yeah.
think it's going to turn to a Godzilla film. It's like completely something different.
dude, fucking 28
The
years
Umbrella
later
Corporation.
is going to come out here pretty soon.
What is it?
28 years later. It's a spin-off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be like
Whoa.
it's a sequel to like 28, months or weeks later.
28 days later, 28 weeks later. Now it's 21 years later.
No,
28 years later?
Nearly 28. I think it's like they said it was like when it comes out, it'll be 26 and a half or 27 years later. But yeah, fucking wild.
Whose pick is next?
Next would be Abe's.
It'll be mine.
Abe's, yeah. I had 2 turns, right? I had a fucking... Yeah, spoiled me.
Oh, I know. There's the secret, dude. There's the lost episodes. We have a couple lost episodes, but then we have a couple like legitimately lost episodes.
Yeah.
We tried to do one of them. We tried to do twice. It was just not happening. Yeah. So Abel's pick is next. Good. I'm excited too, because Abel's girlfriend was kind of influencing him. Like, hey, you've showed him some good movies, but they weren't necessarily your favorite movies. So now I feel like he's got a whole nother thing cooking in his head.
Abel, can you give us like a little taste of what movie you're thinking next?
Possibly.
Like, give us
a
like
couple
a top
different
3.
ones.
Give us a top 3.
It's Shotgun. If you had to pick right now, top 5 movies you would want to
Ooh,
show.
yeah, top 5.
3.
Go.
Pulp Fiction, Jurassic Park, Rocky, The Shining, and Rogue One.
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
If you pick any of those except for Rogue One, I'll absolutely get behind it.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Rogue One you did not like?
I am one with the plot. The plot is with me.
That was fucking good. Go fuck
That's
yourself.
literally every movie, though.
I can't wait to rewatch the casino theme. The casino scene, my favorite part.
That was what? That was part of
That was in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, you fuck. Get it together.
Fuck. All right. I'm just
He's getting these movies confused.
I'm just being a dick because I think it's funny. But I really Rogue One's a good movie. I'm
Hey,
just
go
fucking around.
jerk off to fucking Rebel Moon, you piece of shit.
Is that the new one that came out?
the Zack Snyder movie.
It's a Zack Snyder film that's like trying to rip off it, you fuck.
It's a Star Wars ripoff because they wouldn't let him make a Star Wars movie.
So he's butthurt about it. So he's like, let me make Watchmen.
So
in
it's
space.
literally a Star Wars movie. Like if you watch that movie and just replace like anything with like the Star Wars equivalent, you could see what he was supposed to be trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so killer.
It's funny because like a piece of shit film should be watched by another piece of shit person. No, I'm kidding. That's too far. Too far. Sorry.
Oh,
no.
I'll watch it immediately. Hold on, let me cue it right now. My bad.
It's right here.
I watch it right after. the pod. All right,
Okay, love you,
guys.
buddy.
Thank you so much for stopping by today. We appreciate you so much. We'll
Thank
catch you
you.
on the next one. Bye.
Bye, vouchers.
Bye.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Bye, vouchers.